G'day, welcome to Cricket Daily. I'm Paul Dennett, and today I'm with Charbel Coorey. Charbel, how you going, mate?
Good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm very excited. It is 100 episodes strong. Cricket Daily today. We
That's
are right.
fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the statistics are for new podcasts, but probably not many of them make it past about 3. I would expect. I've certainly started 1 or 2 that got about that far. So to have made it to 100 after 20 weeks, 5 days a week, has been a lot of fun. And on behalf of Menners, I'd just like to thank everyone who has tuned in. We've got a lot of people who have tuned over from the Cricket Unfiltered podcast and plenty of other new listeners as well. And also thanks to Charbel and to all of the other guest hosts that we've had during this time. Everyone's been so willing and so helpful, and it has been a lot of fun to do. So hopefully we can continue and in a few weeks' time raise the bat for 200.
Congrats. That's fantastic. And it's an honor to be on the 100th show, by the way.
Oh,
So,
thank you. It's an
brilliant.
honor to have you here for the 100th shows. We're on podcast apps as always, but we are also now on YouTube. So if you check out the Cricket Unfiltered stream on YouTube, you can see our faces and you can see some of the teething problems that I'm having with my equipment, but it's going okay so far today. So we've got a big show. There's plenty of news to talk about. But, I'll kick off straight into the headlines, and then we'll discuss some of the main talking points. But first of all, the IPL final is on tonight. Chennai Super Kings up against Kolkta Knight Riders. Should be a great game in Dubai. The WBBL has begun. Sydney Sixers beat the Melbourne Stars with Alyssa Healy playing an absolute blinder of an innings. Ben Stokes has released footage of himself batting in the nets, which has prompted more speculation that maybe, just maybe, he is going to make it out for the Ashes. England Lions have named their squad. Liam Livingstone was a surprise omission from that. Poor old Pucovski has suffered another concussion. That's a concern. Australia might tour South Africa in 2023 to make up for the tour that they cancelled this year. Joe Root plans to enter the IPL. He'll be the first. That'll be the first time that he'll have entered the auction for that. Tom Abell has signed for the Brisbane Heat. That's the Somerset captain, English batter. And Temba Bavuma from South Africa is set to start batting in the nets once again with his thumb injury on the mend. Finally, in the headlines, we've got 3 warm-up games from the Men's T20 World Cup. Scotland beat Namibia. Netherlands beat Oman. But in the interesting one, for me, who has tipped Bangladesh as the dark horse for the competition, disappointingly, Ireland beat Bangladesh. So good for the competition. I think that it shows that some of these associate nations are really starting to rise. But firstly, Charbel, what did you make of the footage of Ben Stokes batting in the nets? I mean, he played a few ordinary shots, and then the last one, he's cracked a straight drive and sort of said yes quite definitively, walked off confidently. Am I reading too much into it, or is he a real chance now of coming to the Ashes?
I don't know if he's a real chance. I don't know what to make of it too much. I just say he's a chance. There's a possibility of that happening. But as an Australian fan, you say, I hope he doesn't make it out because I think he could be a big difference between the two teams, as we've seen before. But like from a neutral, you want to see a good series. You hope he's there because England, I think there's a massive hole in their test lineup when he's not there. So one can hope, and we'll keep an eye out for that one.
Yeah, I think he's got that place in English cricket now that Botham and Andrew Flintoff existed in for quite a while, where it does raise it above the football talk. I've been in England during the Ashes, and when they talk Ashes, you can sort of sense that they're keen to get back to the football. But Stokes and then Flintoff before him and Botham before that transcended that and sort of were genuine stars of the game. So for the profile of the series, it would be fantastic to have him out here, and also obviously he'd make England a lot more competitive. England Lions have named their squad, and Liam Livingstone is not in the side. Now, I was saying that I thought he should have been in their actual test squad. I'm heartened to see that Michael Vaughan also said that. During the summer, during the English summer, David Lloyd was saying that he thought that he was a prospect for Test cricket. Do you think it's strange that he hasn't ever made it into their B side or their A side?
Yeah, I think he's got a first-class average nearly 40, so it's not too bad, and he can bowl a bit as well. I don't know if they just view him as a white ball cricketer because I think he's going to be available for the Big Bash, and that's maybe why they didn't pick him. But yeah, I agree with you. It's a bit strange that they didn't even pick him for at least the England Lions. But yeah, they might just view him as a white ball cricketer, which I think is a bit disappointing because he might be good for England in their Test side.
Yeah, well, for a while there, David Warner was viewed as just as a white ball
Yeah,
cricketer.
agree.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and like the form that he showed in T20 cricket was kind of dismissed. And they have made the point that Liam Livingstone's record in first class cricket, albeit as you say, overall it's quite good. This season, the last couple of seasons, it's been pretty disappointing. But he did average over 50 in all forms of T20 and /100 cricket this year. And I just don't think that you can dispense with that. It's not as though they've got a side replete with batting stars. Plus, he has that handy bowling option as well. And he's a really intimidating batter. So I think it's a big surprise that he has been left out of the side. Although the good thing is they have got Matt Puckinson and Saqib Mahmood in that England Lions side. So they'll play a couple of games against the England side in the lead up to the first test match. They'll then play a game against Australia A. So a lot of those players will be on standby if needed for England during the Ashes themselves. Now, the IPL final. It's on tonight. We do have a lot of Australian listeners and viewers. So I just thought if you've never watched a game of IPL and you're thinking, well, maybe tonight's the night to start, I heartily endorse that. And I say you definitely should. It is a wonderful competition. And if you love cricket, then it is the premier T20 competition in the world. There's no doubt about that. So a little bit of a guide for those of you planning on watching it. If you live in the east coast of Australia, in Sydney and Melbourne, certainly, it's going to be a late one. It starts at 1 a.m. and the games do drag on. Charbel, I really don't like those timeouts. That when they have it up on the board, they say, the batting timeout is now available in the next few overs. I think, no, it's not available. It's compulsory.
Yeah, that's right. It does drag out the IPL games. They take a long time to finish. When I say I'll watch the first innings tonight, it doesn't finish till about 3 at least. That's usually takes 90 minutes to complete a 20 over innings, but then this one takes at least 2 hours. So I think that the positive is, an IPL final is usually on a Sunday. So it's usually on a Monday morning our time, but tonight's on a Friday heading into Saturday. So that's a positive. And yeah, I think it's a good game to watch.
Definitely. And if the last few finishes have been anything to go by, you'll be rewarded of staying up till basically 5 a.m. and making some enemies of your family for the rest of the weekend. Now, in terms of so looking at the game, so Kolkata Knight Riders were friendless at the start of the tournament. In the first half of the tournament, when it was on in India, they were hopeless. But since they've been in the UAE, they have been absolutely superb. They have won back-to-back games to get them to this point. And I think that they might even almost start as favourite. What do you reckon?
I think Chennai still start as favourites. I still think so. But magnificent from Kolkata. I picked them to make the playoffs the last 2 seasons and they've let me down. I didn't pick them this year. And I thought I was vindicated by their first half of the tournament. They were very poor, but I think conditions in the UAE have suited them. Just for viewers, when they won in 2014, a lot of their play was based around, playing well on slow pitches and having their spinners lead the way. But I think, this season they've had Sunil Narayan, Shakib and Varun Chakravarti lead the way from a spin department on the slow pitches. And also Lockie Ferguson's been outstanding. So they're a definite chance tonight, but I think Chennai Super Kings with their depth and the fact that they've beaten Kolkata twice this season probably just has them favourites.
And who are you looking out for from CSK?
I've been really impressed, from an Aussie perspective. Josh Hazlewood has been one of the 4 overseas players in the Chennai team, and he has a very, very important role in the power play. He's been very good in that stage. Was outstanding in the qualifier against Delhi. He got a couple of key wickets, including Shikhar Dhawan at the top, and Shubman Gill and Venkatesh Iyer for KKR. They've been important in the opening partnership. So Josh Hazlewood has a key role, I reckon, in breaking that. Also, Ruturaj Gaikwad, the opener for Chennai, has been superb. He's the only player to score 400 runs in the UAE leg of the tournament. He and Faf du Plessis at the top, great opening partnership. That'll be key. And I think MS Dhoni as a finisher, which we saw it in the qualifier, Moeen Ali and Ravindra Jadeja as the 2 all-rounders, I think will be very important.
And if you're looking for any other excuses to watch it, it is at Dubai, where Australia is going to play England in the World Cup. So, and if we do make it all the way to the semis and the final, a lot of people don't think we will, but one of the semis is in Dubai and the final is in Dubai. So, good preparation for watching Australia go around in the World Cup. A couple of players from KKR to watch out for. Varun Chakravarti, if you haven't seen him, He's the classic mystery spinner. I love how he's described as a leg spinner, googly bowler, and the first line of his profile on Wikipedia is he's an off spinner. So he's basically he claims to have 7 different variations, and I just can't get enough of watching him bowl. He's such an asset to their side. He's going to be an asset to India in the World Cup. He's made it into their squad, surprisingly, and I think that's a great call. Sunil Narayan, as you mentioned, but Rahul Tripathi really gives the ball a whack. And if you didn't see it in the semi-final, he came out on a hat-trick, needing 6 to win off 2 balls, came on to strike on a hat-trick and belted Ashwin straight down the ground for 6 to win the game. So really interesting there. And also Owen Morgan, the England captain, has been woefully out of form with the bat for KKR, doing a great job as captain. But if he can start to click, then they will be hard to beat. So really looking forward to that one. The first game of the WBBL, just read out the scores. Melbourne Stars made 1 for 99 in a rain-reduced game. They only got 11 overs in. Elise Villani, 54 not out off 31. And the Six got the runs with 4 balls to spare. Alyssa Healy making 57 off 27. Virtually no one else could get a run. It's a long tournament, but it may well be the innings of the tournament. She was dynamic. The way she just kept on attacking skillfully. And the fact that they only won with 4 balls to spare shows what a good target that Melbourne made. But a superb innings from Healy.
Yeah, you asked me in the innings break whether the Stars have enough, and I thought that you can't write the Sixers top order off, particularly if Healy gets going. Shafali Verma, she didn't get going yesterday, but she's a power pack player as well. So the Sixers, they had a couple of very poor seasons the last 2 years. I think they didn't make the semi-finals, and so Alyssa Healy, if she has a big season, they're going to be very hard to beat, as it showed last night. Brilliant innings.
So, yeah, looking forward to that continuing now. There's a couple of other domestic games on today in Australian men's cricket. South Australia is playing Queensland in the Sheffield Shield, and WA is playing Tasmania in the Marsh Cup. Plenty to look out for in that Shield game in terms of test prospects for Australia.
Definitely. Now with the news of Pucovski suffering another concussion, you think that opening spot really opens up to a number of candidates. So I'll be keeping a very close eye on this Shield game, particularly with Queensland. They've got a number of candidates, in their side. I think Joe Burns will want to put his hand up again to try and make the team, because he started in the team last year, but we all know he was terribly out of form. I'd love to see Usman Khawaja open the batting for Australia in the Ashes. I think he has a wonderful home record, and he's done well for Australia opening the batting before. We all remember that innings against Pakistan. I think it was in Dubai, to help save the test. So big game for Khawaja. Bryce Street has made a magnificent start to his Shield career, but maybe it's still a bit early for him, but I'd like to see him continue to bang the door down because he's a proper traditional red ball batsman. So a few to watch out.
Yeah, I've watched Bryce Street quite a bit when I've been calling Shield games, and I think he is someone that the selectors would be. It might be a bit early, but I certainly think they'd have their eye on him, and if he could get some runs in these games, and if Pucovski doesn't come up, then he'd certainly be a chance. Travis Head is the other one that he's got two big scores so far, and that number 5 spot potentially has his name on it. So probably going to be a flat pitch, so look out there. And in the one-day game, obviously the game itself is significant, but I just am really interested in Cameron Green. Every time he comes out to play, I want to see him do well, because I really want him to lock down that number 6 spot for Australia. Speaking of the Pucovski concussion, everyone's been saying what a concern it is, but it's now his 10th concussion. They haven't all been batting. He's had concussions playing Australian rules football. He's had strange concussions in the field. It is, we go on about it. It's a major concern. He's got a first-class batting average of 54. He's such a likable guy as well. Such an articulate, intelligent, interesting guy. I really want him to do well. I think he's going to bounce back from this. The concussion was a week ago now, and he looks like he's going to be okay. But I think they need to be at the point where they should say no short balls to him in the nets. You just can't risk giving him any more concussions.
Yeah, you could say that, but what if he gets one in the game and he hasn't been facing them in the nets and he doesn't know how to deal with it? That's a problem.
I think it is. I think maybe they've got to go to the all right, we're going to give you some short ball practice now, but it's going to be with an indoor cricket ball. And
maybe
it's not ideal, but if he gets one more hit,
and it doesn't have to be a forceful hit as well, because you've had so many concussions. Could be any hit to the head, and then he gets concussed. He's had 10, and he's 23, so I'm concerned for him. and they've got to make a decision soon about his future, because that's really worrying long term.
It is, and I suppose I think I've said this before, but that without being an expert, it does seem as though the real problem is when you get a concussion and then get another concussion, get another knock on the head without that first concussion having recovered. You do the analogy: if you smashed your arm, you would let your arm heal before you allowed yourself to be put in harm's way again. But with the brain, you kind of don't realize that it's so badly hurt. So in the past, players would get concussions on top of concussions. That was the real problem. It's to be hoped that with his being medically managed well, that by returning only after the concussion has fully healed, maybe that's a way around it. But it is very concerning.
But it's also mentally coming back from that and then thinking, oh, what if I get hit again? And so that's another element, from or to deal with, because you want to come back and be at your best.
Exactly. And lastly, Australia is potentially going to tour South Africa in 2023. So the tour that was cancelled just a few months ago is going to be rescheduled then, potentially. They're not sure exactly when, but Australia's touring India in the early part of 2023, sort of February, March. So potentially after that. Obviously, it goes without saying that would be great for Australia to do that. Although they'd probably then need to tour not much after that, because the cycle would come around again. I really hope that Australia does start to go on these tours, and I hope that we tour Pakistan in a few months' time as well. I think that would be much needed for world cricket.
Yeah, I hope so as well. Pakistan reeling from a couple of cancelled tours, so hopefully cricket in Pakistan get back on its feet, and Australia can be the ones to help them out there.
Definitely. Well, thanks for listening to Cricket Unfiltered, the Cricket Daily today. After 100 episodes, I should probably know the name of the show. Charbel, thanks for being on. It's been great to have you on. Listeners and viewers, thanks very much for joining us for our first 100 episodes. Please tell your cricket-loving friends to start joining us. See ya.